The sun begins to set over a quiet suburban neighborhood. The warm golden glow casts long shadows, creating a serene atmosphere. It's the kind of evening where everything feels calm, almost too perfect. In the middle of this peaceful scene, we meet John. A man in his late 60s. John stands at the gate of his front yard, his hand resting lightly on the rusty metal. His eyes are distant, lost in thought, as if he's trying to remember something but can't quite grasp it. He wears a soft smile, but it's a smile that feels a little unsure, a little confused. It's the kind of smile that's become more common since he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's a few years ago. John used to be a very different man. He was known around the neighborhood for his outgoing nature and sharp wit. He'd often spend his afternoons in the yard, chatting with neighbors, sharing stories, and making everyone laugh with his jokes. But things have changed. Alzheimer's has taken pieces of his memory, like sand slipping through his fingers. There are days when he can't remember his own children's names, or the time when he and his wife, Margaret, first met. As he stands by the gate, John's mind drifts. He looks down at the small garden that once bloomed with vibrant flowers, a reflection of his once bustling life. His gaze shifts to the road, and then, as if on cue, a soft rustling sound breaks the silence. A scruffy dog with a coat of matted fur appears at the edge of the yard. Its body is tense but curious. The dog's eyes seem to be scanning the area, searching for something. John, still unsure of what's happening, feels a strange tug at his heart. Maybe it's the dog's timid approach or its soulful eyes, but something about it feels familiar. John takes a step forward, his movements slow and hesitant. He doesn't know why, but he finds himself instinctively reaching for the gate latch. His fingers tremble slightly as he fumbles with it, unsure if he's doing the right thing. It's like he's been here before, but he can't quite remember when or why. Yet, something tells him that opening this gate is the right thing to do. The dog, sensing the shift, slowly steps closer. John's face softens, though his confusion remains. He looks at the animal, trying to make sense of the situation. There's a moment of hesitation from both sides, a quiet standoff, until John finally opens the gate. He doesn't remember why, but it feels like the right decision. The dog stands there for a beat longer before it slowly, cautiously, steps into the yard. Neither the man nor the animal moves for a moment, as if both are waiting for the other to make the next move. The dog hesitates for a moment, its tail twitching as it steps across the threshold of the open gate. It's wary, but there's something about the man in front of it that seems to calm its nerves. John's gaze is fixed on the animal, his mind swirling with uncertainty. He doesn't know why he's drawn to it, but there's an unspoken connection. His hand reaches out, trembling slightly as he tries to understand this strange, unexplainable pull. The dog looks up at John with those big, soulful eyes, and for a split second, everything feels still. There's no barking, no growling, just an unspoken understanding between them. The dog takes a step forward, its movement slow and deliberate. It approaches John with a kind of quiet curiosity, its posture relaxed, as though it's sensing that this moment is significant. John lowers his hand toward the dog, his fingers brushing against its rough fur. The texture is different from what he expected, rough but warm. There's something comforting in the dog's presence. As his hand gently caresses the dog's head, a soft sigh escapes John's lips, a deep exhale, as if the weight of the world momentarily lifts. His face softens, and for a brief moment, he seems more present than he has in days, maybe even weeks. The dog nudges John's hand with its nose, a soft, affectionate gesture. It doesn't bark or demand attention, it simply allows John to pet it, enjoying the quiet connection between them. John's fingers instinctively continue to stroke the dog's fur, and for a moment, his mind seems to quiet. The world around him, the confusion, the fleeting memories, fades away, replaced by the simple act of being with this animal. It's as though time slows, and John is reminded of the peace he once felt when everything was more certain. The dog, sensing John's vulnerability, stays by his side, never rushing or forcing anything. It's as if the animal understands exactly what John needs in this moment. It stays close, its presence a calming force. From the window of the house, John's family watches with wide eyes. They've seen John struggle with his Alzheimer's before, the confusion, the frustration, the sadness. But now, they witness something different. For the first time in what feels like forever, John's expression isn't clouded by uncertainty. He's not lost in his thoughts. He's simply here, in this moment, with this dog. The family is silent, not wanting to interrupt the delicate interaction. They can hardly believe their eyes. What's happening right in front of them feels like something out of a dream. The dog, this stray that appeared out of nowhere, is doing something that no medication, no therapy, no amount of care had been able to do. It's giving John a moment of peace, a moment of clarity. The Pitbull, content and calm, doesn't leave John's side. The family's hearts swell with a mixture of awe and gratitude. In this brief, unspoken exchange, it's clear that the dog has already become a quiet hero in John's life. As the minutes pass, the bond between John and the stray Pitbull deepens in a way that none of them could have predicted. John continues to stroke the dog's fur, his hand moving with a sense of tenderness and care that's been missing from his routine for months. The dog remains still, allowing John to connect with it in a way that feels almost magical. There's no urgency, no need for anything other than this shared moment of calm. It's as if the world outside of the yard has faded away, leaving only the two of them, John and the dog, existing in this tranquil bubble. John's mind seems clearer. His expression softens, and for the first time in what feels like forever, he isn't overwhelmed by the fog of confusion that often clouds his thoughts. The dog, sensing this shift, gently rests its head on John's lap, as if offering comfort. John's eyes linger on the dog, and he speaks softly, his words slurred and broken, but the warmth in his voice is unmistakable. "Good dog," John murmurs, his voice trembling slightly. "Good boy." It's not clear whether John remembers what he's saying, or if it's simply the act of speaking that brings him some solace. But there's a sense of peace in his eyes now, something his family hasn't seen in months. The Alzheimer's that has slowly taken pieces of his mind seems to ease, if only for a short while, as he sits there with the dog, lost in the simplicity of the connection. From the window, the family watches, their hearts swelling with an emotion they can't fully put into words. They've tried everything to help John, to manage his symptoms, to make him feel more at ease. But nothing has ever worked quite like this. They've never seen him so still, so present. The dog's effect on him is undeniable. Margaret, John's wife, stands behind the window, a tear slipping down her cheek as she watches her husband, her partner of so many years, share such a quiet, intimate moment with this stray animal. She knows her husband better than anyone, and seeing him so relaxed, so peaceful, fills her with a bittersweet sense of gratitude. This dog, who showed up uninvited, has done something she never thought possible. It's given her husband a moment of respite from the constant battle of Alzheimer's. She steps outside, quietly approaching her husband and the dog. John looks up at her, his face soft and relaxed. And for a moment, Margaret sees the man she fell in love with many years ago. There's no confusion in his eyes, no frustration. He simply looks at her, as though seeing her for the first time in a long while. "John," Margaret says softly, her voice breaking slightly. "Are you okay?" John nods slowly, the smile still on his face. He pats the dog gently, his hand moving with a sense of calm that hasn't been there for months. "He's a good boy," he murmurs, his voice slow but filled with warmth. Margaret kneels down beside him, her hand resting on John's shoulder. She looks at the dog, who looks up at her with those same soulful eyes, its tail gently wagging. She can't help but smile. The dog, this stray that wandered into their yard just a short while ago, has done something that no one else could. It's brought John back, even if only for a brief moment. It's given him a sense of peace that she's been longing for. From behind them, the children watch with quiet awe. They've seen their father struggle, seen him lose his way, and they've tried so many things to help him, to bring him some semblance of comfort. But nothing has worked like this. The dog's effect on John is undeniable. It's as if the animal has unlocked something deep inside him, something that had been buried under the weight of Alzheimer's. For the family, this is a turning point. They've always known how much John loved animals, how he'd spend hours talking to the neighborhood dogs or feeding the stray cats. But they never imagined that a stray Pitbull would be the one to bring him back to himself, even if just for a little while. It's a miracle, something they can't quite explain, but are thankful for nonetheless. The dog, sensing the shift in energy, stands up and moves closer to Margaret, as if offering her a comforting presence as well. She steps outside, quietly approaching her husband and the dog. John looks up at her, his face soft and relaxed. And for a moment, Margaret sees the man she fell in love with many years ago. There's no confusion in his eyes, no frustration. He simply looks at her, as though seeing her for the first time in a long while. "John," Margaret says softly, her voice breaking slightly. "Are you okay?" John nods slowly, the smile still on his face. He pats the dog gently, his hand moving with a sense of calm that hasn't been there for months. "He's a good boy," he murmurs, his voice slow but filled with warmth. Margaret kneels down beside him, her hand resting on John's shoulder. She looks at the dog, who looks up at her with those same soulful eyes, its tail gently wagging. She can't help but smile. The dog, this stray that wandered into their yard just a short while ago, has done something that no one else could. It's brought John back, even if only for a brief moment. It's given him a sense of peace that she's been longing for. From behind them, the children watch with quiet awe. They've seen their father struggle, seen him lose his way, and they've tried so many things to help him, to bring him some semblance of comfort. But nothing has worked like this. The dog's effect on John is undeniable. It's as if the animal has unlocked something deep inside him, something that had been buried under the weight of Alzheimer's. For the family, this is a turning point. They've always known how much John loved animals, how he'd spend hours talking to the neighborhood dogs or feeding the stray cats. But they never imagined that a stray Pitbull would be the one to bring him back to himself, even if just for a little while. It's a miracle, something they can't quite explain, but are thankful for nonetheless. The dog, sensing the shift in energy, stands up and moves closer to Margaret, as if offering her a comforting presence as well. Margaret reaches out to pet the dog, her fingers brushing against its rough fur. She smiles softly, a tear slipping down her cheek. "Thank you," she whispers, her voice full of gratitude. John looks up at his family, his eyes filled with a quiet understanding. He may not remember all the details, may not even remember the dog's name in the coming days, but in this moment, he's not lost. He's not confused. He's simply with his family, with the dog, and that's enough. For the first time in a long time, the family feels a sense of hope. They know that the road ahead will still be difficult, that Alzheimer's will continue to take its toll. But in this moment, they have something to hold on to, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there are small moments of light, moments of connection, moments of love. And sometimes, that's all we need to keep going. The days following the Pitbull's arrival feel different in the house. There's an unspoken sense of change, a quiet shift in the air. The family, still in awe of what they witnessed, starts to incorporate the dog into their daily routine. John, though still struggling with his Alzheimer's, begins to look forward to his time with the dog. Every morning, when the sun rises, the Pitbull waits by the door, its tail wagging eagerly. And every day, John steps outside, a calm smile on his face, and the two of them share a moment of peace, It's a small but profound change. For the first time in a long while, John has something to look forward to. He no longer sits in the house, lost in his own thoughts or pacing aimlessly. Instead, he spends his mornings with the dog, walking through the yard, his hand resting gently on the Pitbull's back. Sometimes they sit together on the porch, watching the world go by, the dog's steady presence grounding John in a way nothing else could. John's family watches this transformation with mixed emotions. There's still sadness over what Alzheimer's has taken from him, but there's also a sense of hope. They see the spark in John's eyes when he's with the dog, a moment of clarity that hasn't been there in so long. And it's not just John who's benefiting from the dog's presence, it's the whole family. Margaret finds herself smiling more, her heart lighter as she watches her husband bond with this animal who has come into their lives at just the right moment. The kids are more relaxed too. They visit more often, knowing that the dog will always be there to offer a sense of calm, a reminder that even in difficult times, there can still be moments of joy. The Pitbull has become more than just a pet. It's become a part of their family, and they can't imagine their lives without it. The dog, named Buddy by the family, is now a constant in their lives. It's not just a companion for John, it's a friend for all of them. Buddy's affection is unwavering, always there when someone needs a comforting nudge or a soft nuzzle. Its presence has become a balm for their hearts, a reminder that healing doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes, it comes in the quiet, steady gaze of an animal who simply wants to be there. One afternoon, John and Buddy take their usual walk through the park. The sun is shining, the trees casting dappled shadows on the ground. John's hand rests on Buddy's back as they walk side by side. The family watches from a distance, their hearts full. For a brief moment, they feel as though the weight of Alzheimer's has lifted, and in its place is something pure, something simple and beautiful. Margaret and the kids sit on a bench nearby, exchanging quiet smiles. "Who would have thought?" Margaret says softly, her voice filled with wonder. "A stray dog. He's brought him back to us, hasn't he?" The kids nod, their eyes bright with appreciation. They've seen how their father's demeanor has changed, how he's more peaceful now. They know that Buddy has made a difference, even if they can't fully explain how. It's a bond that's difficult to put into words, but they all feel it. The camera lingers on John and Buddy, the two of them walking together, the sun setting in the background. There's a sense of tranquility in the scene, a sense of quiet contentment. John's steps may be slower now, but he's not lost. He's not alone. And for the first time in a long while, the family can breathe a little easier, knowing that Buddy is there, offering his quiet companionship and healing presence. The days continue to pass, but the family now faces them with a renewed sense of hope. They've learned something profound. Sometimes, healing doesn't come from the solutions we seek. Sometimes it comes from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, it's as simple as a dog, a stranger in their midst, offering love without condition. Buddy has become more than just a dog. He's a reminder of the power of connection, of how even the smallest of gestures can make a world of difference. And for John, for Margaret, for the entire family, that's enough. As the weeks go by, the family starts to settle into a new rhythm. The changes are subtle but profound. John's Alzheimer's continues to affect him, of course, but there's something different now. There's a lightness in his step, a gentleness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. His time with Buddy, the Pitbull who wandered into their lives, has brought something special to his world, a quiet sense of calm that no one expected. The family has become accustomed to Buddy's presence. He's more than just a pet. He's an essential part of their daily life now. Every morning, Buddy waits by the door, eagerly wagging his tail as John prepares for their walk. Margaret watches with a soft smile, knowing that these moments of peace, these small victories, are what make each day a little easier. One afternoon, as the sun begins to dip below the horizon, the family gathers together in the living room. John, who's usually lost in thought or pacing through the house, is sitting quietly on the couch. Buddy lies beside him, his head resting on John's lap as the two of them enjoy a rare moment of stillness. There's a soft warmth in the air, a feeling of contentment that seems to fill the room. Margaret glances over at her children, who are gathered nearby, and she can't help but feel a sense of gratitude. It's been a long and difficult road, one that has sometimes felt hopeless. Alzheimer's has stolen so much from their family, leaving them grappling with loss and confusion. But through it all, Buddy has been a constant. The dog's presence has brought something they thought they had lost, a sense of connection, a reminder that love and companionship can heal in ways they never imagined. John looks down at Buddy, his hand resting gently on the dog's head. There's no confusion in his eyes now, no struggle to remember. He simply looks at the dog, his gaze soft and filled with appreciation. He may not remember the details, he may forget moments from one day to the next, but in this moment, he is here. He is present. And that's enough. Margaret leans over to kiss John on the cheek, her heart full. "I'm so glad you have him," she whispers. "He's been such a gift." John looks up at her, his eyes still soft, and he gives her a quiet nod. He may not fully understand the depth of what's happening, but he feels it. He feels the comfort of the dog's presence, the warmth of his family surrounding him. In this moment, he is not lost. He is not alone. The family gathers together, huddled close on the couch. The camera pans out, capturing the peaceful scene. Buddy, with his scruffy coat and loyal eyes, rests at their feet. John's hand gently strokes the dog's fur, and Margaret sits beside him, her head resting on his shoulder. The children are close by, a quiet sense of peace settling over the room. As the camera zooms out, the final scene is a picture of love and hope. Two beings who found a connection in the midst of confusion. A family who's rediscovered a sense of unity through the unexpected gift of a stray pit bull. It's a story of healing, of resilience, and of the powerful bond between humans and animals. Sometimes healing doesn't come in grand gestures or big solutions. Sometimes it's as simple as a quiet moment shared with a dog who has the uncanny ability to make everything feel right, even when nothing else seems certain. The screen fades to black as the family continues to sit together, the love between them palpable. A soft message appears on the screen. Sometimes, the greatest gifts come from the most unexpected places. And as the video ends, a final call to action appears. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone you care about. And don't forget to subscribe for more uplifting stories of hope and connection. As time moves forward, the connection between John and Buddy grows even deeper. Their bond, once born of simple curiosity, has now blossomed into something truly special. Every day, John and Buddy are inseparable, and the family can see the positive impact the dog has on John's life. He's no longer as lost as he once was, no longer as confused. The moments of clarity seem to come more often, and though they are fleeting, they are precious. On a sunny afternoon, John and Buddy take their usual walk down the street. The sky is a brilliant blue, and the world feels alive with possibility. The dog walks beside John, its tail wagging happily. John, with a slow but steady step, seems more at ease than ever before. The days of wandering aimlessly or sitting in silence are behind him. Instead, he's out in the world, moving through it with a sense of purpose, thanks to Buddy. The family watches from the window, their hearts swelling with gratitude. It's been a long journey, one filled with uncertainty and fear, but seeing John so connected, so engaged, is a reminder of the power of love and companionship. They know that Buddy's presence in their lives has made all the difference. Inside, Margaret watches her husband from the window, a quiet smile on her face. It's a smile of relief, of hope, and of deep appreciation for this stray dog who changed everything. She never could have imagined that the arrival of a pit bull would bring such peace to their family. But here they are, watching John and Buddy, both content in the moment. In the evenings, after their walks, John and Buddy sit on the porch together. The sun is setting, casting a warm, golden light over the scene. Margaret and the kids join them, and they all sit together in silence. The simple act of being together filling the space with a sense of harmony. The family is closer now, bound not just by their love for one another, but by the presence of a dog who has become a symbol of resilience and healing. The children, who once felt helpless in the face of their father's illness, now find comfort in Buddy. They've learned that healing doesn't always come through medicine or therapy. Sometimes it comes through connection, through moments of pure, unconditional love. Buddy has shown them that. He's taught them that even in the face of Alzheimer's, there are still moments of beauty, still moments of peace. One evening, as they sit together, John looks down at Buddy, his hand resting gently on the dog's back. "You're a good boy," he says, his voice filled with a tenderness that brings tears to Margaret's eyes. She knows that John may forget the details of this moment, may not remember tomorrow that he ever said those words, but right now, in this moment, it's enough. It's more than enough. The camera zooms out, capturing the family sitting together, the dog nestled comfortably at their feet. The golden light of the sunset bathes the scene in warmth, a quiet reminder of the beauty in small moments. John's Alzheimer's may still be with him, but the love and companionship he shares with Buddy are something that can't be taken away. As the video nears its end, the message on the screen reads, "Sometimes the greatest gifts are the ones we never saw coming. Thank you, Buddy." The video fades to black, leaving the audience with a sense of hope and appreciation for the unexpected blessings in life. The final call to action appears. If this story moved you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories of love, connection, and healing.